Purple power. It's days like this that we realize why we are the way we are. You know, we saw a horrible interview last night with Nancy Pelosi and Wolf Blitzer. You saw my morning's broadcast. I was pissed off. And ultimately, that is not the way a person should get. They should not get revved up. They should not draw on negativity. And yesterday, we heard about Mitch McConnell's new bill that seeks to override or trump Trump. And we said, oh, this is horrible. Well, tonight, Mitch McConnell's bill is being seen as irrelevant, as never going to pass. Nancy Pelosi's comments are seen as sort of a joke and sort of indicative of why nothing has come from her office. And tonight, Purple Power is moving forward. Purple Power is focused. Purple Power understands what's working and what's winning. Steve Mnuchin's very good bill. We're close to the finish line. Can we get there? And what would happen on Election Day if a big twist or turn occurs? We're informed about that as well. This is Purple Power. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Purple Power and a special broadcast in a day in which we were throwing a lot of lobs, like a bad softball game, and we're sort of swinging at them. But ultimately, we learned, maybe we don't even have to catch or even acknowledge those pitches. Just play a different game. Go to the front channel, subscribe. Subscribe because we're really focused on doing our own bit, not being thrown a lot of craziness and not even addressing craziness. And also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over refocusing, how I started to have you refocus early this afternoon on Afternoons LALATE after you saw my reaction on mornings. Third, I'll go over just second. What happened with the second? I just skipped second. Second, I'll go over distractions and why they make you choke. Third, I'll go over motivation. Fourth, I'll go over timing. And finally, I'll go over what to look for in the new day as we approach Election Day. All right, let me go to the breaking news. The breaking news is refocusing. The breaking news is refocusing because we literally are having all these different competing forces throwing us stuff at all different ends. And it can be a little bit overwhelming, and it can cause a person to get off of their focus. So what is the Purple Power focus as we sit here today? It really is Steve Mnuchin's bill. It's so good. It is exactly still pushing for executive order. And it's exactly making clear to congressional leaders, see, for stimulus, you're gone. You didn't give us stimulus relief, you're gone. You've made every excuse in the book, but you're still gone. Let me go over the details as we sit here today. There's a lot of distractions tonight. And you saw them coming at all different ends. There's a distraction of Mitch's bill next week. There was a distraction of Pelosi's crazy comments on Wolf Blitzer. There was a distraction of those three senators that she had write a statement about the census, like Carol Malone, if you watched the video right before this, and Maxine Waters, who took her out of context. There was a distraction with Larry Kudlow saying false economic news. And there was a distraction with Steve Mnuchin saying, you know what, it's going to be really hard to get this done by the election. Lots of distractions. And so what you should need to be focused on is what gets you from here to there. From here to there. And the first is executive order. The second is supporting Steve Mnuchin's positions, which ultimately may become the provisions of an executive order. The president is making campaign stops, about 2 to 3 per day, over the next 20 days remaining before the election. He made a big splash today about new economic policies, which he had rehearsed for days with Larry Kudlow. Kudlow told News. So economics is clearly on his agenda. With that, you would assume that an executive order for stimulus would also be. The president can, should, and would do repurposing of money for stimulus relief if he understood the severity of the situation, but it appears that his inability to understand the severity of the situation or his inability to grasp that sending the relief does not create mixed message may be what's causing it to falter. Mixed messages, perhaps, to the president could be, well, the economy is doing really well. Why do I have to send out another round of LWA? It will make look like I don't have, like the economy's not rebounded well. Don't send a mixed message. It's not a mixed message. You can say one message and also say the other. They don't contradict. Next, stimulus checks. Stimulus checks don't mean that the economy is not rebounded. Stimulus checks don't mean anything about the economy. It just means thank you for being an American, and thank you for enduring the pandemic. In fact, stimulus checks don't really call into question what's going on with the person who received the stimulus. So there is no, how would you say it, almost an aura of why the stimulus checks are being sent out. So the president shouldn't be concerned by image as to why stimulus checks are being sent out. Oh, because the economy's not good, you have to save the American people, you're just trying to buy vouchers. No, just it doesn't flow from that. It's just stimulus checks are being sent out because countries send stimulus checks out when people are under pandemic lockdown. It's as simple as that. And ultimately, viewers always still ask me why. Why has he not done it? Ultimately, the push needs to continue. Purple power needs to push. And the fact is that we're just not there. We're not in his ear, so we don't know what he's being said. He could be being told a lot of crazy stuff by Larry Kudlow, ultimately. I don't know. But your focus is really keeping the present focused. It's not that it defeats his campaign attention. It doesn't mean that it contradicts his economic policies. We're dealing with distractions, and so certainly he's dealing with distractions as well. And he must understand that sending out stimulus checks is not a distraction to anything that he's doing. Timing, number 4. How quickly would you get the stimulus checks? Well, you get them in 10 days. 10 days from the day in which he signs it by executive order. That's for stimulus checks. If it's for LWA, you could start getting within, 3 weeks approximately or less. It's very simple. Steve Mnuchin has always told us that once a stimulus check is ordered by executive order, by act of law, it only takes about 10 days to get electronically. So if you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits, you would get it, and you receive your benefits electronically, you would get it within about 10 days. Simple. You get it before the end of the month. Let's do it. Looking. How about looking? What does he mean looking? Who are you looking at? You looking at me? We see each other. No, looking means I want you to look forward and understand the dates that are coming up, because they are just a cakewalk of trouble. They're not particularly reassuring. There's the election. Then there's the period from the election to December. And then there's a period of December to March. Understand where we sit here today. And I think you get it, but I want to make sure we understand how much is owed to us. You had a first pandemic that you were on lockdown, and you got one check for 1 month of multiple months of lockdown. You were supposed to get a check for every month of the lockdown. You were supposed to get a stimulus check for every month of the lockdown. 1 month a check, another month a check, another month a check. You didn't get it. So that went on. You didn't get those stimulus checks. Then, when they started to negotiate again, they started talking about a stimulus check. So what is this stimulus check? What month is this supposed to be for? July? September? Okay, well, whatever month they ultimately think it's for, which doesn't make any sense, then you have the upcoming lockdown that could be hitting each state this winter. What stimulus check are we getting for that month? Well, there is no bill even written that addresses the potential lockdown of this country and the need for stimulus checks while you're back on a lockdown. Okay, you're still not getting that one. Well, then how about next year? Ironically, everything that I'm talking about now may not be passed into law until March of next year if there's a Trump loss and a Senate loss. So by March of next year, you would not have gotten your stimulus checks for July of this year till September. You would not have gotten your stimulus check for another lockdown. And then you're finally getting a check in March of next year. That's the problem we have here. The problem we have is timing with congressional leaders. They are doing things 6 months after the fact and not doing them proactively ahead of the fact. There's a problem with both the Republicans and the Democrats are doing. Mitch McConnell's always said he doesn't have economic data, and the Temple of Doom does a little bit at a time and gives a lot of money to people who don't need stimulus, like things like census. And so ultimately, my concern for you is if Trump loses and the Senate goes Democrat, then how soon could you get that stimulus? And could you end up actually waiting to March of next year? In all the interviews that Temple of Doom talks about, she has never pushed really hard that question. And because she's not pushed that question really hard, she doesn't have to really answer it. She says, I hope we get this done soon. No, I think you hope it's done after the election, which means we won't have it till middle of next year. Let me answer some incredible questions from last night. Kathy, Mitch and Nancy deserve each other. Patricia, people in Kentucky won't vote for Mitch. Angel, everyone needs to tweet the president. Charles, we aren't getting a dime. Connie, homelessness spread the virus. Domingo, Nancy Pelosi's a joke. Christy, people won't be at their address to get any money. John, Mitch needs to admit he doesn't care about anyone. The Black Man, no rents, no grants. Universal Artisan. Nancy freaked out on our Wolf Blitzer today. Andrew, Pelosi Blitzer fight. Okay, so this is 28 hours ago. So now, the video has just aired on CNN from last night. Rosie, I sent Mitch a message and told him he's acting like Nancy. Jamie, we played dirty because we learned the cooks in Washington. Eugene, here we go again. Wolf and Nancy, Wolf and Nancy, Wolf and Nancy. Mitch needs to go home, says Kathleen Bowsum. Go Purple Power. Deb DeSanto. Please, Mr. President, executive orders. Subrahadra. So bottom line, who are we supposed to target? Trump, executive order. Susan, we pay self-serving games. Candace, isn't this responsibility for the people to overthrow the government? Not in this video. Eugene, so LA, I'm really done listening to this. It's exhausting. Exhausting listening to these politicians. Amen. They are exhausting, these politicians. Eugene, it's over. It's just so disconcerting. Big John, talk isn't cheap. It isn't. But stimulus checks aren't expensive either. Send them out. Go to the channel, subscribe. Subscribe because we're here together and we're getting through this pandemic together. Also like this video. Coming up tomorrow morning is the return of Early Mornings LALATE. It starts at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a 1-hour broadcast with 2 shows, one at 6 and then one at 6:30. Then the return of Mornings LALATE at 8:30 a.m., followed by 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, followed by 28, day 19 at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Have a great evening. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, and stay in LA for more.